Lucas Grant's day started the same way it always did, with a black coffee, a crisp button-down, and the walk from 42nd Street Station to the glass-walled headquarters of Rhodes & Company. At 8:57 a.m., he waved to the security guard, nodded at the receptionist, and rode the elevator to the 17th floor. By 9:02 a.m., everything he thought he knew had already changed. Subject, urgent, meet in executive conference room, 9:15 a.m. From Rachel Lee, executive assistant to CEO. No greeting, no explanation, just that. Lucas stared at the screen. The timestamp glared back at him like a ticking bomb. He had a hunch, one that clutched at his chest and made the coffee in his stomach curdle. Still, he clicked his screen shut, smoothed down his collar, and walked down the hall. The door to the executive wing was slightly ajar. Inside, Vanessa Rhodes sat behind a mahogany desk that screamed elegance and control. She didn't look up, not right away. She wore a navy blue blazer he didn't recognize, silver trim, strong shoulders, power personified. That used to thrill him. Now it made his throat dry. "Lucas," she said without lifting her eyes. "Close the door." He did, slowly. "What's this about?" he asked. "Something with Stratcor?" She tapped the corner of a printed email with her manicured nail. "You lied," she said, eyes finally meeting his. "You told me you had a dental appointment." He blinked. "I did, just not at a dentist's office." "You interviewed with Stratcor." Her voice wasn't angry, it was cold. Frost over steel. "Vanessa, Save it. Security will escort you out after this meeting. Your badge and digital access have been revoked. Rachel is packing your desk." Lucas took one step forward, then stopped himself. "You're firing me?" "No," she replied, folding her hands. "I'm removing a conflict of interest." He opened his mouth, closed it. There was no argument that would land. Not with her. Not today. "You consider this disloyal?" he asked quietly. "I consider it strategic," she said, voice even. "Same way you did when you updated your LinkedIn." There it was, the nail in the coffin. He picked up his badge from the table. Her hand had pushed it toward him like it was evidence in a criminal case. "You know what stings?" he murmured. "Not that you're firing me, that I didn't see it coming." She didn't flinch. "You stopped being a teammate the moment you became a threat." He left the room without slamming the door. That would have given her the power of knowing she rattled him. Lucas walked the long hallway back to his office. His nameplate was already gone. He passed interns he had mentored, executives he had trained. None made eye contact. Only one person, Arya, a junior associate, whispered, "I'm sorry," as she slipped a sticky note into his hand. "You didn't deserve this," written in green ink. Back at his desk, a cardboard box sat waiting. He had joked about it for years. "Guess I'll finally use that if we ever change floors." Now it was real. He moved slowly, deliberately. The branded mug from Vanessa's first product launch. The framed photo of him and his sister, Bria, on a hike in Utah. The notebook where he'd sketched the first RTI pitch that saved the firm $2 million. All into the box. No one said a word. That night, Lucas sat on the floor of his apartment, the box beside him, his laptop open to the raise proposal he'd sent 6 months ago. Page 4. Projected ROI with 20% salary adjustment, 3.2 matters in 12 months. The real number? 3.6 matters. 2 clients. 2 accounts he secured alone. No raise, no title. Just budget constraints, and we need to avoid favoritism. He wasn't angry. Not anymore. He was clear. He opened a new email. To Max Connor. Subject, Thursday still works. Message, looking forward to our next conversation. Lucas Grant. He hit send. Then leaned back and stared at the ceiling. 2 days later, Vanessa's voice still echoed in his head. "You became a threat." Funny. He thought he was her partner. He called his sister. Bria had once been general counsel for a Fortune 100 company before burning out and switching to nonprofit advocacy. She used corporate ethics to cover personal ambition, Bria said. But you have receipts, Lucas. Want to sue? He shook his head. No. I want to build something so successful she has to pretend it doesn't exist. Bria whistled. Savage. I like it. On Thursday morning, Lucas arrived at Stratcor's headquarters. Sleek glass tower, rooftop gardens, an actual art installation in the lobby, nothing like the beige carpet hell of Rhodes & Co. A sharp woman named Naira greeted him. Mr. Grant, right this way. She didn't say Vanessa's husband, didn't even blink. For the first time in years, he was just Lucas. Max Connor met him on the 28th floor. No pitch deck, no resume review, just two men talking strategy and vision. I've seen what you built, Max said. Now I want you to build it here without shackles. Lucas tried to speak. Couldn't. So he just nodded. This isn't a courtesy, Max added. It's recognition. At 6:47 p.m., Lucas received a Slack message from Arya. Vanessa's office has been locked all day. People are scared. You okay? He stared at the screen, then typed back, I'm more than okay. I'm free. He placed the cardboard box in his closet, then poured a glass of wine. He didn't toast to revenge. He toasted to being seen. If you've ever been overlooked after giving everything you had, type 1. Lucas Grant didn't expect to see his own name engraved on the frosted glass door. Lucas Grant, Director, Strategic Growth. He blinked twice before stepping in. The office was sunlit, minimalist, with river views and a leather chair that actually supported his back. No borrowed corner, no cluttered cubicle, no company-issued furniture left over from the finance team's budget freeze. A welcome packet sat on the desk, neatly labeled. Inside, company policies, onboarding docs, a handwritten note from CEO Max Connor himself. Welcome to where your ideas don't need permission. Max. He hadn't even closed the drawer when a Slack ping echoed from his new desktop. Tessa, Team Ops. Hey, Lucas, we've all heard about your work on the RTI and Crestline campaigns. Super pumped to finally have you here. Want to grab coffee later? He stared at the screen. People here knew his name, his work, not just his title, not just who he used to be married to. He typed back, would love to. Thanks, Tessa. But praise wasn't what hit him hardest. It was the metrics. By Tuesday afternoon, Lucas was invited into Stratcor's weekly performance review. Max leaned across the table and handed him a simple one-sheet, a graph, 2 red lines, campaign ROI at Rhodes & Co., week before Lucas's departure, pleasant 11.4%, week after, 8.2%. We track campaign performance across key vendors, Max explained calmly. The moment you left, we saw the shift. Lucas tapped the line with his thumb. That fast? 48 hours. We thought it was a data glitch. It wasn't, Lucas said quietly. Later that night, alone in his new office, Lucas opened an old folder from his Rhodes years. Performance Review, Q3, denied raise. He skimmed to page 4. If adjusted by 20%, Lucas Grant is projected to yield 3.2 matters in growth. Timestamp, 8 months ago. He whispered aloud, I brought in 3.6 Ms and still, budget constraints. The line that followed haunted him. Promoting Mr. Grant could raise concerns of perceived favoritism due to marital proximity to executive leadership. Marital proximity. As if sleeping beside a CEO made his numbers smaller, then came the internal message from Leah, UX lead from Rhodes & Co. Leah, just wanted you to know, Vanessa's been scrambling since you left. The board's asking questions. No one's answering. Arya, intern. She told the team you compromised integrity, but no one's buying it. Lucas didn't reply, but he saved the messages. 2 days later, Lucas sat down with Max again. We're dissolving our agency contracts, Max said plainly, including Rhodes. Lucas stiffened. You sure? We've always wanted in-house strategy. Now we have the guy who built theirs. Silence hung for a beat. I didn't come here to gut her company, Lucas said. You didn't, Max replied. You just stopped hiding what you built. That afternoon, HR handed Lucas a tablet with full access to historical campaign dashboards. He scrolled through Stratos, Wellspring, Aurora Edge, all high-revenue clients he had once pitched and nurtured under Rhodes. Underneath each was a project owner tag. Not his name, just Team Strategy, or Lead Vanessa Rhodes. Even his fingerprints were redacted. But Stratcor had noticed. They saw the metadata, the timestamps, the originating documents. They knew the source, and so did the clients. Friday morning, Stratcor's internal comms team published a sleek transition announcement. Effective immediately, all marketing strategy for Dalton Nexus, Stratos, and Crestline will be handled in-house by Director Lucas Grant. That same hour, Lucas's phone buzzed. Unknown number. He let it go to voicemail. Lucas, it's Vanessa. Her voice clipped. Tired, still powerful. I assume you had something to do with the Dalton transition. If you want to play corporate chess, fine. Just don't pretend you're innocent. We'll see how long you last without the Rhodes name behind you. Click. Lucas deleted the voicemail. Not out of anger, out of clarity. In the early evening, Bria called. She threatened you, didn't she? Lucas chuckled. She warned me, in her usual subtle way. You want me to send a cease and desist? Bria offered. I can also send a fruit basket with it. Whatever tone you want. No, I'm good. The numbers are speaking for me now. You're playing the long game, she said. No, Lucas corrected. I'm just finally not folding. That weekend, Lucas met his new team, Tessa, Wes, Bria, not his sister, and Nate, for a brainstorm on Stratcor's rebrand. It was casual, open laptops, sticky notes on windows, electric energy. Halfway through, Tessa said, I read your work on the Aurora Edge pivot. I thought you were just some behind-the-scenes ghost. Turns out you were the architect. Lucas sipped his coffee. Ghosts don't leave blueprints. On Monday morning, a thick folder landed on Lucas's desk. Tessa tapped the cover. Proposal evaluations, she said. Guess who applied? Lucas opened the file. Rhodes and Company. New proposal, reduced pricing, updated deliverables, a new lead strategist. It was someone Lucas had mentored. Talented, but not ready for this scale. Max walked in moments later. We're up for review, he said. You okay evaluating her firm? Lucas closed the folder. Especially after everything, Max added. Lucas nodded slowly. We evaluate her like anyone else. No bias, no history. Max raised an eyebrow. That's generous. Lucas looked out the window. It's not generosity, it's control. If you've ever been underestimated by your own team, type 2. At precisely 11:02 a.m., Lucas Grant's name showed up on an internal email chain that wasn't meant to reach him. Subject, Executive Escalation, Immediate Revenue, Threat from Vanessa Rhodes to Carl Royce plus board stakeholders. Dalton Nexus confirmed full transition. Projected loss this quarter, 31.7%. We will present a restructuring proposal Friday. Do not circulate until we've aligned narrative. Lucas leaned back in his Stratcor chair, a quiet grin tugging at his mouth. He hadn't opened his mouth to tear her down. He hadn't needed to. Her silence had done the job. That afternoon, another email landed, this time intentional. From Carl Royce, Senior Board Member, Rhodes & Co. Subject, Request for Meeting. Mr. Grant, I'd like to discuss your recent departure and possible next steps for mutual realignment. Please advise on your availability. Carl wasn't known for pleasantries. If he was reaching out, it meant something inside Rhodes & Co. had already cracked. Lucas replied, Available at 4:30 today. Phone is fine. At 4:29, the call came through. "Mr. Grant," Carl's voice was smooth, deliberate. "Thank you for taking the time." "Of course," Lucas said evenly. "What can I do for you?" Carl got straight to the point. "Your sudden dismissal raised concerns, especially given the recent client transitions. The board was unaware of the full strategic impact you carried." Lucas said nothing. "I've reviewed your performance metrics, revenue charts, and client feedback. You were under-recognized." "That's one word for it," Lucas replied. Carl continued, "We'd like to offer reinstatement, a full salary correction, title adjustment to Senior VP of Strategic Growth, and a signing bonus of 10% if accepted within 48 hours. Lucas didn't even blink. "Why now?" Carl hesitated, then said the quiet part out loud. "We're trying to prevent a structure from unraveling." Lucas's silence on the line stretched. When he spoke, his voice was calm. "Going back would mean returning to a place that only noticed my value after I walked out with a cardboard box." Carl's tone cooled. "You'd have influence this time, a real seat at the table." Lucas replied, "I have a table now, and I built it myself." There was a beat of cold air on the line. Then Carl said something unexpected. "For what it's worth, you were never the problem." Lucas let it sit, then said, "I know," and hung up. That night, Lucas sat by his window, the city blinking back at him like a breathing organism. His inbox buzzed again, from Arya, now freelance. "Miranda's pacing. CMO just walked out of a meeting. Total meltdown." Another ping, from Leah, UX. "You should see the whiteboard. Q2 targets covered in red flags. Dalton Nexus circled in marker. 3 underlines." Lucas exhaled, slow. He hadn't orchestrated chaos. He'd just stopped absorbing it. The next morning at Stratcore, Lucas joined the leadership sync. Max Connor walked in with coffee, slid a folder across the table. "Agency renewal bids. LRC's in the mix," he said, referring to Rhodes & Co. Lucas flipped open their proposal. Clean design, thin substance. Their new lead strategist was a mid-level analyst Lucas had trained 2 years ago. Capable, but not ready for prime time. "What's the call?" Max asked. Lucas didn't even hesitate. "Evaluate like everyone else." "You're sure?" Max pressed. Lucas looked him in the eye. "Especially because of what happened. If they're not good enough, the data will say it. And if they are, then they earned it." Tessa nodded from across the table. "Clean, unbiased. Let the numbers talk." By Thursday, the numbers had spoken. Max sent a final decision email. Subject, Dalton Nexus Agency Realignment, to Vanessa Rhodes, CC, Lucas Grant. Following a comprehensive review, Dalton Nexus will be transitioning its account permanently to our internal strategic team under the direction of Mr. Lucas Grant. We thank you for your prior service and request secure transfer of assets by EOD Friday. Lucas stared at the screen, not in shock, but in silent recognition. He hadn't fired a shot, but the empire had begun to crumble. That afternoon, Tessa poked her head into his office. "FYI, Vanessa wants to discuss the transition timeline. Want me to handle it?" Lucas didn't look up. "Keep it polite, keep it tight. No extras." "Got it." As she left, a Slack message popped up from Arya. "Miranda's assistant says they're calling it a strategic pivot, but we all know what's happening." Then another. Jessica, former receptionist. "You were the only one who made that place feel like growth was possible. I'm giving my notice next week. Thanks for showing us there's life after LRC." Lucas folded the note quietly. That was the reply he hadn't known he needed. And then, a final message. Blocked number. One line. "I assume you had something to do with this." Vanessa Lucas didn't respond. Because silence isn't always weakness. Sometimes it's the final word. If you've ever watched someone lose everything because they underestimated you, type 3. At exactly 9:12 a.m., Lucas Grant walked into the strategy war room with a folder already open in his hands. 3 agency proposals. One name jumped off the top page like a bad joke. Rhodes & Co., new branding, new pricing, new lead strategist. He didn't blink. He had already reviewed the campaign metrics last night. Weak impressions, templated creative, no innovation, no voice. He closed the folder and slid it to the center of the table. Max Connor walked in seconds later, coffee in hand. "Everyone ready?" Tessa, Wes, and Bria nodded. Nate tapped his pen against the table nervously. "Lucas," Max said, "we need your final input. Rhodes & Co. included a personal letter from Vanessa. Says they're refocusing and committed to rebuilding trust." Lucas didn't look at anyone when he answered. "Evaluate them like we would any vendor. No weight, no revenge, just performance." Max raised an eyebrow. "Even after—" "Especially after," Lucas cut in. Later that afternoon, the decision was finalized. Stratcor's executive team moved forward with full in-house strategy operations under Lucas's leadership. At 4:26 p.m., the official transition email was sent. Subject, Dalton Nexus, final confirmation, from Max Connor to Vanessa Rhodes, CC Lucas Grant. "We appreciate your proposal submission. However, after comprehensive review, Dalton Nexus has decided to retain strategy operations in-house under Director Lucas Grant. Please coordinate all final asset transfers by Friday EOD." At 4:47 p.m., Tessa slacked him. "Tessa, Vanessa's assistant just asked if we could extend the deadline." Lucas typed back without hesitation. "Tell her the deadline is firm, but wish her well." That night, Lucas walked home slower than usual. No earbuds, no phone, just the city air and the steady rhythm of his own breath. He poured himself a glass of red wine, leaned against the kitchen counter, and stared out the window. The skyline was blinking, familiar, endless, alive. 1 year ago, he had walked out of Rhodes & Co. with a cardboard box and 1,000 invisible bruises. Today, he was running the division they said he didn't deserve. The following week, he received a LinkedIn notification. Miranda Vale has updated her job title, Founder and Strategic Consultant, Vale Advisory Group. He didn't click into the profile, but the next message made him stop cold. From Jessica L., former receptionist. "Just wanted you to know, since you left, 5 more people have followed. Aria's freelancing now. Jared joined Prism. I'm giving my notice next week. You were the only one who made the place feel safe to grow." He reread the message 3 times. It didn't sting. It didn't warm him either. It settled, like closure, like a door that no longer needed to be slammed. It was just closed. A month later, Lucas was invited to speak at Vidian Labs' marketing leadership panel. The topic, When Vision Breaks the Mold. The moderator, Claire Riddick, asked halfway through, "Mr. Grant, what would you say to someone who's been undervalued for years by people they once trusted?" Lucas didn't hesitate. "Stop waiting for recognition. Build something they can't ignore." The room fell quiet in that powerful way, like collective exhaling. But he wasn't done. "You don't fight for a seat at their table. You design your own and bring others to it. You don't beg for acknowledgement, you keep receipts, you document every late night, every pitch you saved, every number you grew, and when the time comes, you walk without drama, because you're not leaving out of anger. You're leaving to grow." There was a long pause before the applause came, slow, steady, from people who'd lived something similar. After the panel, a young strategist named Arjun approached. "I've been trying to leave my firm for over a year," he admitted. "But every time I get close, I hear my boss's voice in my head saying, 'You'd be nothing without this place.'" Lucas smiled gently. "The ones who say that usually fear it's the opposite." Arjun stared, blinking. "Do you think I'll be okay?" Lucas clapped a hand on his shoulder. "If you're already doubting them and believing in yourself, you're already halfway out. The rest is logistics." That night, Lucas returned to his apartment and poured another glass of wine. He didn't feel like a man who'd won something. He felt like a man who'd recovered something, his own reflection. He checked his phone. No texts from Vanessa, no new emails. Until, message from Vanessa. You always said you wanted to build something. I guess I finally see what you meant. Congratulations, Lucas. You earned it. I just wish I hadn't had to lose everything to understand. Lucas read it once. Then again. It didn't feel like revenge. It felt like reality finally catching up. He didn't reply. She hadn't said, "I'm sorry," and he didn't need her to. She'd already said the one thing that mattered. You earned it. That Friday, the full team at StratCorps gathered for their internal strategy summit. Tessa raised her glass during closing dinner. To Lucas, for teaching us that strategy isn't just about where we're going, it's about who we become on the way there. The team clinked glasses. Bria, his legal advisor and sister, winked from across the table. Lucas took a long, slow breath. He didn't think about the badge Vanessa once slid across the desk like a discarded token. He didn't think about the cardboard box. He thought about the simple truth. He didn't win by taking her down. He won by rising where no one expected him to. And that was never revenge. That was results. If you believe real revenge is rebuilding stronger than before, type 4.